This is something that is ubiquitous over all people. This is not just something for Tashayyu or not something just for the Muslimin, right? Whenever we look at the Jewish community, whenever we look at the Christian community, whenever we look at pretty much any community from the beginning of time, there is this universal concept and this universal archetype of an individual coming back at the end of time, and they will spread justice in a land of corruption. And they will spread justice in a land that is filled with fasad. So this, as I said, eternal and universal archetype of the Mahdi, of the Messiah, is something that we shouldn't limit to Tashayyu. It's something that we shouldn't limit to him at all. Now, understanding this, we see that injustice is something that we can currently see happening across the world. We can currently see around us. When we look at injustice, we see that the current world is in no lack of it whatsoever. So when we see and when we look at what the Imam will actually do, we see the Imam will come and dispel all notions of injustice and dispel all notions of what it means to be evil. So the Imam coming and establishing this peace, we can see that most definitely we are living in one of the prerequisites of the time. But again, taking the discussion a bit more theologically, what purpose is there? Why do we need an end of time? Why do we need a 12th Imam? Why do we need a Messiah? Why can't we just continue going as we are going? Why can't we continue doing what we are doing? We have good deeds and we have bad deeds, and there will come a particular point in time where we'll become accountable for them. This again comes back to a theological discussion by the name of Qiyamah or Ma'ad, as we discuss in theology. When we talk about Qiyamah and we talk about Ma'ad, we understand that what is the purpose of this whole endeavor? Why do we need the Messiah? Why do we need an end of times? Why do we need a day of judgment? All of these are answered in the theological doctrines. If I was to give a one-sentence answer to you of why do we need this whole episode of the coming of the Messiah, the establishment of justice, and the end of all time, the answer to this question would be purpose. What link do we have between purpose and the coming of the Imam? We use the analogy of an exam. Let's say if you go to university and they say that you're going to be here for 3 years. However, any exam that you give is not going to be taken into consideration. You're going to be passed at the end anyway, or failed at the end anyway. There is no consequence for the actions that we have. However, if we now have an exam and we say there is a set period of time, we now ourselves understand there is a set point in time that we need to work towards. We need to move towards. There is now consequence to the actions that we have. So if I understand that there is a certain date and time where there will be consequences for the actions that I have done throughout my life, this is something that gives me will and hope and purpose. If we did not have a day of judgment, if we did not have the coming of a Messiah, if we did not have the establishment of his government, we see very clearly that we would have absolutely no purpose, because there would be no consequence to our actions at all. However, if we understand the Shia as the author states, the Shia fly upon 2 wings. One is the wing of the past with Aba Abdullah al-Hussein, and the second is the wing of the future with Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman. So understanding that we fly upon these 2 wings, we don't simply reserve and reduce ourselves to historical discussions. We understand that these historical discussions are instances where we can actually use them for future discussions and use them to help us improve ourselves for the coming of the Imam, which is the fulfillment of our purpose. So the point being made, don't simply trivialize the coming back of the Imam to a single event in history. We see this is the exam date. This is the period we are all working towards. This is the opportunity for us to better ourselves before the coming of the Imam, so that we can become better individuals. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Therefore, the underpinning theme is what exactly? The underpinning theme is that of adala. We see that adala is something that brings together qiyamah, brings together tawheed, brings together imamah, brings together all of the usul-ud-din. And when all of the usul-ud-din are brought together under the banner of adala, we can see very clearly that this is the job of only one individual. When we talk about the 12th Imam, we see only he is the individual who can establish this justice. Only he is the individual who can establish this peace and prosperity over all people and over all lands. If that's being said, now we need to come to answer our opening question. What does it mean to know the Imam? What does it mean to know him? and what events were surrounding the wilada that we are celebrating today. So if we were to look at a very brief understanding of how to know our Imam, of course we would look at the genealogy and we would look at the lineage. We see that his father was Imam Hassan Askari. And Imam Hassan Askari alayhi salam, he was a very unique individual. And he was an individual who taught us how to deal with oppressive forces, how to deal with forces that are difficult to cooperate with, to liaise with. He was at the time of the Abbasid government. So brothers and sisters, whenever we feel ourselves in difficult situations and we feel ourselves in difficult scenarios, we understand through the life and the example of Imam Hassan Askari, we know how to deal with these circumstances and we know under what scenario we need to do such. He was such a threat and he was such an issue to the Abbasids at the time. We can see that he was exiled to Samarra. And of course, when you go to Samarra today, we have the tawfiq of ziyarah also. Now, when we look at the other side of his lineage, we see that according to the opinion of Baqir al-Qarashi, he had a mother who had Roman heritage. And this Roman heritage went all the way back up to Nabi Isa alayhi salam. Nabi Isa alayhi salam had a disciple by the name of Simon. And of Simon's lineage, we have the mother of Imam Mahdi, Ajjallahu ta'ala faraj al-sharif. So when we see this, we understand that biographically we are now building some sort of a profile for this individual that we are celebrating. And we see that the birth and the wilad, the very event that we are celebrating here today, is something that was very much up for contention at that time. And when we see how it actually happened, it was by no means in a vacuum. We need to understand that the Abbasids did not exile Imam Hassan Askari simply because it was convenient for them. They exiled him because they knew that a Messiah would be born from this household. So when asked, how was it that you concealed the birth of Imam Mahdi? This itself is the biggest of all miracles. Everyone is expecting the Messiah to be born from this household. Everyone is understanding that if we take away the Messiah, our power and our dominion will be absolute. So all eyes are upon this household. We ask the question, how were they able to keep it a secret? The answer was given us by the Masoumi. He stated the same way that Nabi Musa was hidden from Fir'aun is the same way that Imam Mahdi was hidden from the Abbasids. And we see that at the time of Fir'aun, of course, he was cutting the wombs of the mothers so that the individuals weren't born and then the male progeny weren't born. And for the Abbasids, for this particular family, it was a very similar sentiment. It wasn't different by any means at all. So the time of the birth now approaches. And Imam Hassan Askari invites who? Lady Hakima. And Lady Hakima is who exactly? She is the aunt of Imam Hassan Askari. So the daughter of Imam Jawad. He invites her in, and of course nobody knows what's going on at this point in time because the birth is very much hidden. Even the family have no idea what's going on. Lady Hakima comes in and she is welcomed. And Imam stated to her that we have good news for you today, so please break your fast with us and then we will tell you what the good news is. He informed Lady Hakima that the Messiah, the Wali, the Imam after me, is going to be born, inshallah, at dawn. Of course, at this news, Lady Hakima was elated. She was extremely excited and she was very happy with the news of a continuation of the lineage of the Holy Prophet. However, she looked at Lady Narjis and she said, there's one issue. And Imam said, what? He said that she doesn't look pregnant at all. There were no signs of pregnancy with Lady Narjis. Absolutely none. So therefore, when we look at what the depth of the tradition is that we conceal the birth of Imam Mahdi, similar to us concealing the birth of Nabi Musa, we see that this concealing was to a very high degree. And this concealing was something that far exceeded any of our current contemporary understandings, and it was, of course, by all stretches of the imagination, a miracle. The tradition continues, where Lady Hakima said, of course, I am at service, and they continued with their evening. They broke the fast and they continued, and they prayed and they went to sleep. The tradition states that Lady Hakima, in the middle of the night, she woke up and looked at Seyyed Narjis and still saw that there were no signs of childbearing and there were no signs of pregnancy. However, nonetheless, she woke up for Salat al-Layl, and at the final rak'ah for Salat al-Layl at the time of Witr, this was where Lady Narjis stated that I am now at that time where the Imam is about to be born. So Lady Hakima helped in this process, and we see that after a small period of time, the Imam was born. And At this point, a tradition is revealed from the Holy Imam where he states that how cruel are these people, where they think they can stop the very thing that God has ordained. You think that an individual can stop oppression? You think an individual can stop any of the struggling that's going on? He stated that even though we had a government that was against us, by the will of Allah, we had the birth of this individual in this household. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. So we speak of the miraculous nature, we speak of the miraculous birth, and we speak of the miraculous individual. However, what is our taklif? What is our wadhifa? What is our understanding of what it means to know the Imam? I ask you the question, can you love someone without knowing them? It's impossible, is it not? You can't love someone without knowing them. You can't love something without knowing it. So therefore, if we have the claim to say that we love the 12th Imam, and we love Imam Mahdi, of course this is something that is succeeded by knowing him. If we don't know him, then we don't claim to love him. And if we claim to love him, then it might be from a bab of not understanding. So therefore, the first question we need to ask is, what does it mean to know? And after we understand what it means to know, then we understand what it means to love. This is our responsibility to the 12th Imam. Now, answering the first question, what does it mean to know? We see knowledge is of two types. One is by tahqiq, by research, and the second is by taqleed, by imitation. You would know something by tahqiq, by research, if you went and you found the facts out for yourself. You would know something by taqleed, by imitation, if someone told you and you assumed it was true. These are the only two ways of knowing something, correct? In the epistemology, in the philosophy of knowledge, there's nothing more than these two things. So either someone tells you and you assume it to be true, or you go and find out for yourself. These are the only true two ways to attain ma'arifah, to attain knowledge. So when it comes to the 12th Imam, which one of the two do we need to choose? When it comes to the 12th Imam, which one of the two do we need to actually go for? Is it a bahth of taqleed, of imitation? Or is it a bahth of tahqiq, of research? We understand that the theological doctrines are extremely clear. They say whether it's tawheed or whether it's adala, whether it's nubuwah, whether it's imama, and whether it's qiyamah, it makes no difference. The 5 usul-e-din need to be simply upon the basis of tahqiq, research. So we need to ask ourselves the question, on what basis have we actually researched the Imam? On what basis have we actually endeavored to learn more about him? On what basis have we actually endeavored to think like him, to understand like him, to behave like him? To what matter have we actually done this tahqiq? If we have, of course, then we can claim to know. And if we claim to know, then we can claim to love. However, if this research is not done, if this tahqiq is not done, a taqleedi understanding is by no means a basis upon which to form an ideology. This is basic theology, respected brothers and sisters, as you know very well. And if we understand that religious foundations and principles are built upon tahqiq, if we understand that religious basis and principles are based upon research, then we would see there is no difference on being born in the East or the West, being born in an Islamic country or a non-Islamic country. If your foundations are upon research, you see that in a country where you have inherited the religion, in a country where you have done taqleed of the religion, simply by being born in that household, or simply by being born in that country, you can see the comparison as opposed to an individual who researched that religion and accepted that religion individually. So we see that it's based upon your personal striving, your personal journey, and how much investment you have put in to actually knowing who the Imam is. And that is where our responsibility lies. How much do we actually know? So this relationship and this distance is something that is mentioned and repeated time and time again in the religion of Islam. Time and time. We need to struggle. We need to have this aspect of ijtihad. What's ijtihad meaning? It comes, of course, from the root word jihad, which means to struggle. We need to struggle in order to know. We need to struggle in order to understand. And only when we struggle can we feel the success. And this contrast theory is something that's repeated time and time again in psychology and otherwise. We see that in order for us to appreciate what hot is, we need to know what cold is, correct? If we don't know what cold is, we'll never know what hot is. In order for us to appreciate what bright is, we need to know what dark is. If we don't know what dark is, we can never appreciate what bright is. In order for us to appreciate what high is, we need to acknowledge what low is, correct? So therefore, our philosophy is based upon what? You need to understand the existence of the opposite in order for you to acknowledge the existence of that attribute. Therefore, if I seek the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if I seek proximity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if I seek closeness to Him, how can I say I seek this without wanting to go through the struggling? We just claimed, we came to the conclusion that you can only understand one thing by the existence of the opposite of the other. So if I want to attain the proximity and the hubb of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how can I do this without the pain and the suffering and the personal journey that we need to go through as individuals in order to get closer to Him? So, bringing our discussion to an end, we see that intidhar is a discussion that is incredibly active, and intidhar is a discussion that is not passive at all. And we ask the final question: what form does intidhar take? For example, if I order something online or otherwise, I'm now waiting, I'm in a state of intidhar, am I not? Is this the same form of intidhar I would do with the 12th Imam? There are different forms of intidhar. So if we use the analogy, for example, of an individual, let's say a brother, a sister, a close family member, and they have left the house in order to study or to work abroad. What is your form of intidhar now? Are you simply sitting there and not doing anything? Or are you going to prepare the house for when they come back? Are you going to make the conditions where they are better? Are you going to make sure that you improve yourself so that when they arrive, you're in a better position and they are in a better position? If it's yes to all the previous three questions, why is it any different with the Imam? If it's yes to all the previous three questions, why would it be any different to him? When we see this consequence and we see these actions, we can understand the question that asks, is intidhar just sitting and waiting? By no means intidhar is passive. By no means intidhar is something that we just do on the sidelines. We understand that intidhar is something that's active. We understand that intidhar is something that is direct. And only when this directness is acknowledged would the Imam actually come. Therefore, when we state the statements, وَعَجِّلْ فَرَجَهُمْ, when we ask for the reappearance of the 12th Imam, this is a very interesting paradox. In what sense? Because we are asking for the Imam to come back. However, of course, we all understand it's not us asking for the Imam to come back. It's the Imam that's waiting for us. And we come back to our historical definition. When we look at the precedents of all the previous Ma'sumeen, the question is always asked, why didn't they seek what was rightly theirs? When we look at Imam Ali, when we look at Imam Hassan and the signing of the treaty with Muawiyah, when we look at Imam Rada, when we look at Imam Hadi, everyone always asks the question, they were rightfully the leaders. Why didn't they go out and seek what was theirs? Did they not yearn for martyrdom? Of course they did. Did they not yearn for the death at the hands of tyrants? Of course they did. However, what do we need to understand here? We need to understand that it's by no means that we are waiting for the Imam. It's always the case that the Imam is waiting for us. To answer the question, why didn't the Imams continue with the uprisings? Why didn't they actually go and assume their positions? It's because the people were not ready. This is the answer to the question that we are looking for. The people were not ready. What did Imam Ali state? Whoever is with me, shave your heads and come back the next day. How many people turned up? A handful. When we look at Imam Hussein, everyone says he only has 72. I assure you, respected brothers and sisters, this is probably more than all of the other Ma'sumeen combined. 72 is a huge number. 72 companions for us to understand. If we look at how many companions all of the others had, there were not a large number at all. So when we look at why did the Ma'sumi not actually take the positions that were rightfully theirs, it's because the people were not ready. So if we ask the question, why is Imam Mahdi not taking the position that's rightfully his? It's because the people are not ready. So when we put ourselves in a position where we are going to be ready, and we are going to be aware, and we are going to be conscious, only then can we expect the coming back of the Imam. However, if we haven't, and if we don't, then we're in no position to actually expect him to come back. As we stated, it's not a bahth of him waiting, us waiting for him, rather it's a bahth of him waiting for us. So if waiting is based on true belief, we understand that we will try to reform ourselves. He is waiting for us. The conclusion of today's bahth. It is not the other way around. And when we ask the question, what does it mean for an individual to die a death of jahiliyyah without knowing their imam? What does it mean for an individual to die a death of ignorance without knowing their imam? We say that this knowing of the imam is not simply in the historical facts like the ones that we mentioned regarding his birth, regarding his lineage, and regarding his genealogy. It's not simply understanding where he came or where he is going. As we understood, knowing the imam and truly knowing the imam is through tahqiq and through research. And knowing the imam and understanding the imam is by implementing his actions. And the only way we can do this is, one, by acknowledging his existence, two, by understanding who he was as a historical figure, and three, implementing this in the form of akhlaq. This is the finality of the discussion. We see that all bahth and all knowledge is useless until it's actually implemented. What good is the knowledge of the Imam Zaman's mother's name or Imam Zaman's father's name going to do to you if you haven't actually implemented this knowledge? We see Imam Ali saying that the perfection of religion is by seeking knowledge and acting upon it. So if we claim to know the Imam, if we claim to have knowledge, if we claim to have ma'rifah, then of course this is not just the accumulation of data and information. This is the acting upon the messages and the morals that he lived by. And this is of course the continuation and the lineage of what imamah actually means. When we look at the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. He stated, I have come here to perfect your akhlaq, did he not? Not your theology or your fiqh. I have come here to perfect your akhlaq. So if he has come to perfect our akhlaq, we understand that akhlaq is the only realm that knowledge materializes. And akhlaq is the only realm where knowledge comes into play. So therefore, if we want to know the imam, if we don't want to die death of jahiliyyah, if we want to have ma'rifah, if we want to have knowledge of him, this knowledge is only ever within inside the realms of action. And this knowledge is only ever within inside the realms of akhlaq. So we need to make sure that we traverse upon this journey. Yes, the theoretical aspect is component. The component is important. However, more importantly, the practical aspect and the practical component is the thing that we are actually seeking, because it is in the realm of akhlaq. We can all understand. I can know something is wrong. I can know something is a sin. However, if I keep engaging with it, what good is this knowledge? I can know something is good. I can know something is healthy. However, if I don't act upon this knowledge, what good is it to me? Think about it like food. For example, if there's a food that's bad for you, you have knowledge it's bad for you, you still eat it. What good is this knowledge? None at all. If you have, again, a food that is good or bad, knowledge of it and action of it is something that will make a beneficial consequence and contribution to yourself. Therefore, when it comes to the Imam, we see that knowledge of the Imam is not simply understanding historical facts about his life, but rather implementing the messages and the reason of why Imamah was institutionalized in the first place, what the inheritors of the Holy Prophet stood for, who they were, what they did, and what akhlaq means in the school of the Ahlul Bayt. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inshallah grant us all the tawfiq to attain this level of ma'rifah and to attain this level of knowledge. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inshallah hasten the reappearance of Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman ajjalullahu ta'ala faraj al-Sharif. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inshallah grant shifa to all those who are marid, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inshallah have mercy upon all the souls who have passed away. May inshallah we have Surah Fatiha for all the marhumeen across all of the tragedies and catastrophes across the world, for all the marhumeens of yourselves and of the organizers, and inshallah for all those who have no one to recite a Surah Fatiha for them, preceded by, of course, inshallah, as-salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
محمد وعجل فرجه. صلوات بعدی را لطف کنید بلندتر خط فرمایید. محمد و آل محمد وعجل فرجهم. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate the birth anniversary of Imam of our time, Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman, Ajalullah ta'ala farajahu al-Sharif, to all my brothers and sisters. انشاءالله همه با هم دعای فرج و سلامتی آقا امام زمان رو قرائت میکنیم. جهت تعجیل در فرج آقا امام زمان لطف کنید صلوات بلندی خط فرمایید. محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا حافظا وقائدا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك يا باب الله. السلام عليك خليفة الله. السلام عليك السلام عليك يا بقية الله. والسيد المهدي من آل أحمد. والسيد المهدي من آل أحمد. يا محمد حمبها يا علي يا علي يا محمد اكفياني فإنكما كافيان. انصراني فإنكما ناصرون يا مولانا. يا صاحب الزمان همه با هم یا مولانا یا صاحب الزمان دعوتش کن به این مجالس یا مولانا یا صاحب الزمان یا مولانا مژده ای دل که شب نیمه شعبان آمد بر تن مرده و بی جان جهان جان آمد بانگ تکبیر نگر در همه عالم برپاست همه گویند مگر جلوه یزدان آمد از زمین نور به بالا رود امشب زیرا نور خورشید امامت همه تابان آمد فاش میگویم که دلت شاد شود زین مژده مهدی فاطمه آن مهر فروزان آمد جان صدای این کف زدانا برسه سامرا امشب مهدی آل محمد گل گلزار رسول مهدی آل محمد گل گلزار رسول حجت ابن الحسنان مظهر ایمان آمد هر چقدر ارادت بیشتر به اسم مبارک صاحب العصر و الزمان داری این دستا رو بیار بالا قشنگ کف بزن ای جان همینجور ادامه بده همینجور من باید بلند شم جانم ای جان بال ملائک وا شده شب شب نیازه بال ملائک وا شده شب شب نیازه آسمون پرواز ما تا همیشه وازه آسمون پرواز ما تا همیشه بازه شب فرار غمه ماه و ستاره همه میگن خوش آمد به تو گل پسر فاطمه میگن خوش آمد به تو گل پسر فاطمه یا ابا صالح مدد یا ابا صالح همه یا ابا صالح مدد یا ابا صالح مدد عنایت کنید یا ابا صالح مدد یا ابا صالح مدد یا ابا صالح جانم یا ابا صالح مدد آسمون چشمام پر ستاره و شهابه آسمون چشمام پر ستاره و شهابه دل خراب من عاشق جام حیاته دل خراب من عاشق جام حیاته کار دلم شده جنون یا مهدی ادرکنی کار دلم شده جنون یا مهدی همش میگم با دل خون یا مهدی جواب همش میگم با دل خون ادرکنی شب فرار غم ما و ستاره همه میگن خوش آمد به تو گل پسر فاطمه میگن خوش آمد به تو گل پسر فاطمه یا ابا صالح مدد جانم یا ابا صالح مدد یا ابا صالح تکرار کن همینجور یا ابا صالح مدد یا ابا صالح مدد همینجور ادامه بده پر انرژی ماشاءالله مدد یا ابا صالح مدد یا ابا صالح مدد یا ابا صالح مدد بپا میشه محشر برای قامت طلوعت بپا میشه محشر برای قامت طلوعت جون همه عالم فدای سجده و رکوعت دل همه عالم فدای سجده و رکوعت منتقم آل علی دلیر و خونخواه منتقم آل علی دلیر و خونخواه تو پرچم سرخ آقام نصر من الله تو پرچم سرخ آقام ماه دلارا بیا ز پشت ابرا بیا یوسف زهرا بیا یوسف زهرا بیا ماه دلارا بیا ز پشت ابرا بیا یوسف زهرا جانم همه با هم یوسف زهرا بیا یا ابا صالح مدد یا ابا صالح مدد یا ابا صالح مدد یا ابا صالح همه با هم ماشاءالله یا ابا صالح مدد یا ابا صالح مدد یا ابا صالح یا ابا صالح مدد یا ابا صالح مدد جانم ماشاءالله آسمون چشمام پر ستاره و شهابه آسمون چشمام پر ستاره و شهابه دل خراب من عاشق جام حیاته دل خراب من عاشق جام حیاته کار دلم شده جنون یا مهدی ادرکنی کار دلم شده جنون یا مهدی ادرکنی همش میگم با دل خون یا مهدی جانم همش میگم با دل خون بکنی ماه دلارا بیا ز پشت ابرا بیا یوسف زهرا بیا یوسف زهرا جان دلم یوسف زهرا بیا یوسف زهرا بیا یا ابا صالح مدد یا ابا صالح مدد یا ابا صالح مدد یا ابا صالح همه با هم ماشاءالله یا ابا صالح مدد، یا ابا صالح مدد، ابا صالح مدد، یا ابا صالح. امشب رسد از سامره بوی گل نرگس، امشب رسد از سامره بوی گل نرگس، گلها همه چشمند به سوی گل نرگس. هر چقدر ارادت نسبت به اسم مبارک صاحب العصر و الزمان داری کف جانانه بزن. جانانه بزن. دل و دل دارم یار وفادارم، دل و دل دارم یار وفادارم، منم عاشق تو دل به تو دل دادم، منم عاشق تو دل به تو دل دادم، دل و دل دارم یار وفادارم، دل و دل دارم یار وفادارم، منم عاشق تو دل به تو دل دارم، منم عاشق تو جان دلم. همیشه اسمت، همیشه اسمت من به لب آوردم، همیشه اسمت من به لب آوردم، به امید روی ماهت به تو دل دادم، به امید روی ماهت به تو دل دادم، جانم یا مهدی، جانانم یا مهدی، جانم یا مهدی، جانان همه صداش بزنن، جانم یا مهدی، جانانم ای جانم، جانم یا مهد صدا شب جانانه نیمه شبانه، شب جانانه نیمه شبانه، شب میلاد یوسف زهرای، شب میلاد یوسف زهرای، همیشه اسمت من به لب آوردم، همیشه اسمت من به لب آوردم، به امید روی ماهت به تو دل دادم، به امید روی ماهت به تو دل دادم، جانم یا مهدی، جانانم یا مهدی، جانم صداش بزن جانم همه با هم، جانم یا مهدی، جانانم یا مهدی، جانم دل و دل دارم یار وفادارم، دل و دل دارم یار وفادارم، منم عاشق تو دل به تو دل دارم، منم عاشق تو دل به تو. یک بار دی همه با هم، دل و دل دارم یار وفادارم، دل و دل دارم یار وفادارم، منم عاشق تو دل به تو دل دادم، منم عاشق تو همیشه اسمت، همیشه اسمت من به لب آوردم، همیشه اسمت من به لب آوردم، به امید روی ماهت به تو دل دادم، به امید روی ماهت به تو دل دادم، جانم یا مهدی، جانانم یا مهدی، جانم یا مهدی، جانانم یا مهدی، جانم یا مهدی، خسته نشو همه با هم، جانم یا مهدی، جانانم یا مهدی، جانم یا مهدی. ای جان دلم، جانم یا مهدی، جانانم یا مهدی. سلامتی خودتون، سلامتی جمع خودتون. یک کف جانانم بزنید. حاجی وقت داریم یا تموم شد؟ وقت هست؟ آره ماشاءالله. یکم انرژی بدین همه با هم کف بزنید جانانه. مهدی بیا بیا، مهدی بیا بیا، مهدی بیا بیا گل نرگس. مهدی بیا بیا، مهدی بیا بیا، مهدی بیا بیا. ای جانم مهدی بیا بیا، مهدی بیا بیا، مهدی بیا بیا گل نرگس. گل نرگس، گل نرگس، تو صفا دهنده دلهایی. گل نرگس، گل نرگس، تو امید حضرت زهرایی. مهدی بیا بیا، مهدی بیا بیا، مهدی بیا بیا گل نرگس. مهدی بیا بیا، مهدی بیا. هلا هلا شباب ماشاءالله. مهدی بیا بیا گل نرگس. مهدی بیا بیا گل نرگس. گل نرگس، گل نرگس، تو صفا دهنده دلهایی. گل نرگس، گل نرگس، تو امید حضرت زهرایی. گل نرگس، گل نرگس، تو صفا دهنده دلهایی. گل نرگس، گل نرگس، تو امید حضرت زهرایی. مهدی بیا بیا، مهدی بیا بیا، مهدی بیا بیا گل نرگس. مهدی بیا بیا، مهدی بیا بیا، مهدی بیا بیا گل سامرا. مهدی بیا بیا، مهدی بیا بیا، مهدی بیا بیا گل نرگس. مهدی بیا بیا. چهره گل باغ و صحرا را گلستان می کند. دیدن مهدی هزاران درد درمان می کند. مدعی گوید که با یک گل نمی گردد بهار. من گلی دارم که عالم را گلستان می کند. خوشنودی جمع خودتان انشالله. صحت سلامتی هر چقدر انرژی داری یک کف جانانه بزن.
I need a louder salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And another salawat for our two esteemed guests who came all the way from London here tonight to join us. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And your final and loudest salawat to hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time, Imam al-Mahdi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We had two dear members of the community tonight. به فارسی میگن دو نفر نظر داشتن امشب.
So please recite a loud salawat as they provided the dinner for tonight. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We're going to bring out some candles to put on the cake and blow them out. So for now, talk amongst yourselves and inshallah we'll bring out the cake.